like North-South All-Star game. Like,
No,
what are
the
you
All-Star
guys
game is the best
talking
idea ever.
about?
You're
Like,
completely wrong, Sean.
the
You're
South
wrong.
Pole has sucked. Like, we got to be
North
shrouded
versus
with
South is the best idea.
Whoa. You guys are all wrong. This is Red Card Radio.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're listening from. Thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League from three friends normally. But this week, we are joined by none other than Jimmy, our longtime commenter, friend of the podcast, Liverpool supporter. What's up, Jimmy? Welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's really a pleasure to be on the pod. I've been listening since, I guess, beta almost, essentially, before you guys put it public.
Yeah. You're one of the early adopters, or as Brad would say, one of the early Red Card radio heads, as he's trying. He's still trying to coin that phrase.
We're trying to get the copyright through. So
I probably wear the hat publicly more than all three you combined.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I wear this thing everywhere.
In my defense,
I don't know.
In my defense, my long hair is generally in a ponytail or a bun, so it's hard to wear hats. So that's just my caveat.
Well, my hair is like just basically constantly leaving me, so the hat works out great.
Well, and that's a great segue into what we're talking about tonight. By our sponsors, Keeps. No, I'm joking. That would have been a Keeps if you want to. Keeps if you want to sponsor us.
If you want to sponscer?
info.redcardradio@gmail.com.
Anytime we're on, here's Jimmy.
Yeah, he can
send free products. Could use them.
There you go. All right. So what we've got on offer tonight, we are going to hit some comments. I think maybe about the All-Star game. But then we're going to have a little Premier League roundup. We are getting very close to the 10-week mark where the Premier League table starts to matter. So I kind of want to get a little feel for where we are coming out of the international break. We'll talk about clubs and surprises, ups and downs, things like that, before we kind of chat about some of the international football that was played, specifically the English men's national team and the USA matches. So without further ado, as I'm going to bring up the Premier League table because that's what we need to do. That's what we always do. My caveat is it doesn't matter. It's stupid. It's unimportant for the next 3 matches, but we have to do it. And I'm duty bound to do it. So what we're looking at here, we've got, of course, unchanged because we haven't played any games, but Arsenal's in first. City and Tottenham are both 1 point behind in second and third. We've got Brighton and Hove rounding out the top 4. United are in 5th. Fulham are in 6th. Chelsea round out what would be the European spaces in 7th. We got Liverpool, Brentford, Newcastle. That rounds out the top 10. In the bottom half of the table, Leeds are in 11th. Bournemouth are in 12th. Everton, 13th. Southampton are in 14th. Steven Gerrard and Aston Villa are in 15th. Crystal Palace are in 16th. Wolves are just outside the relegation zone in 17th. And in 18th is West Ham, 19th, Nottingham Forest, and 20th is Leicester City. Of course, haven't won a game, 1 point on 7 matches. Surprisingly, still employed Brendan Rodgers. That's my when we talk about the ups and downs of the season, that's going to be my shock, because the fact that Brendan Rodgers is still employed by Leicester City Football Club is wild to me.
They have to be waiting for the World Cup. Like, that has to be what it is.
No, they're waiting on something else, Brad. They're waiting on Moyes, right, Sean?
Old manager.
The dominoes need to fall. The dominoes need to fall, buddy.
Pochettino to West Ham, Moyes to Leicester. Is this the new prediction?
Yeah, we can't have. I like Leicester too much for them to get Moyes to go there.
All right, let's get into these comments. So, of course, we got a lot of comments last week. Really appreciate them. Can't get to all of them, but we're going to focus most specifically on the All-Star game. We do want to touch on one. Joel did have one for us. It was about the handball in the Newcastle game. He said it was the right call because Joel is correct, and he's agreeing with me, and I'm agreeing with him, and we have the correct opinion. Jimmy, I don't know if you gave an opinion in the comments about the Bournemouth Newcastle handball, but what did you see? Did you think that was?
I've never even watched it.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
Fair enough. Well, I think if you had watched it, you would agree with us. That it was a handful.
It is. So my take again is, was it a clear and obvious error?
Yes.
If yes, it was the right decision.
Yeah.
So based on what you guys talked about, what I've heard, it sounds like it was a clear and obvious error. So therefore, VAR got it right.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's the right call. Jumping into the kind of the meat and potatoes of some of the comments that we had this week, Will jumped in there. So this is what Will said. Will said, Brad and Sean's statement, and this is about All-Star games, as we've been talking about ad nauseum. But Brad and Sean's statements about baseball having the best All-Star game makes James's points perfectly. I agree. Baseball requires almost no team coordination, even less than professional basketball. Any competent player who knows a position can slot in with any other 8 players and no one would notice. Baseball All-Star games are going to be quality because what makes the game good are the individual performances. What works for football, American football, soccer. What works for football is the Legends games with old retired players. They're not great games, but people enjoy watching their old favorites again. So if we wanted to have like a Premier League all 11, best 11 versus, you couldn't do a current.
The
Second 11.
I actually almost commented on this before Will did. One of my pitches was to do an England 11 versus like every year they did a different country, like
okay.
an Italy, former players from Italy that played in the Premier League, former players from Spain, and do that kind of thing.
That would be it. That wouldn't be bad.
It'd be okay, but still, it's like it'd be better to watch than a north-south nonsense.
Yeah.
Or East-West. We could do East-West because I'm not getting lotted in with fucking Brighton and Southampton. Come on now. Like I got to get some better help than this.
So I actually did play in a north-south
not-
all-star game for soccer once.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
How'd that go?
And it was terrible. We had it was like a so many schools. It was like you get 2 players from each whatever
School.
and
whatever.
you had players from small schools that like our JV team potentially were better than. So like it's a weird it's a nice honor, but for the most part it was not. Got to tour the state capitol. That was basically the extent.
What I hear here, Jimmy, is that you're saying you were pretty good at soccer, right? You made the North South All Star team, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna extrapolate this to just prove that you're scoring 10 penalties against Sean.
Probably true.
Sean's not saving anything.
Yeah, we won. I will say this. I was kind of the end of a dynasty in our area for like at high school. I won a couple of state championships, but my senior year was the year we lost.
Did you hear that, Sean? He's part of a dynasty.
State champion.
All I heard was that he's playing against people that his JV team were better than. So I'd imagine that if that's the All-Star game, goodness gracious, I can't imagine what you're playing on a week-to-week basis. So I'd probably win a couple of national or state titles at the same vein as you, if that were my passion growing up.
I don't know that I have that kind of faith in you yet, Sean. We'll see we'll see after the shootout.
You can't.
I like this.
You can't learn how to be long.
Hey, look,
that is true.
Well, I think I mentioned that I was probably like a good head and a half shorter than you, and what I've learned is that I probably am.
Yeah,
I'm much shorter than you are.
Good thing.
Well, it's hard to tell on camera. I try to.
You guys look
you're
like
still
you're the same
scoring
height
all
right
10.
Your heads are.
I think I'm still scoring all 10.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way. There's no way. You're gonna miss one.
Maybe. I mean that there's a chance that I miss one.
Hey, boom. Sean's in the lead.
That's not you saving it though.
Agreed. I agree.
I'm saving at least one.
I love how I really love how the
it's just going down and down and down every single time.
The thresholds for what counts change, but so Jimmy, you had a take on the MLB Ball All-Star game being good this week. You want to summarize that for us?
So I like Sean talks about this a lot. I'm also a big baseball guy too. I love baseball. I love the MLB All-Star game. I always have. I was actually one of the proponents or fans of when they made it kind of matter for the home field advantage for the World Series. I do get the arguments against that, and I still kind of liked having it have some meaning, which was kind of cool. I do also absolutely hate the American League. So I they've been on a pretty big winning spree for 20 years, which is terrible.
-1. Negative. Well, it's not this hat, but if I had my hat on.
Did you hate the American League because you don't like the designated hitter?
Yes.
How do you feel now?
I feel betrayed by baseball.
I also feel betrayed.
I'm a purist. I would be super happy if we went back to the dead ball era. I don't like how everybody has to hit a home run nowadays. Baseball is just not the same as it once was. I mean, we can go into that for a long time, but
this is a soccer football podcast.
Yeah. As far as about this, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you guys. I think a North-South All-Star game is ridiculous and not worth it. But do you remember the game, or do you remember the home run derby more?
The game.
The game.
Always the game.
Really?
Now I do, Brad, watch the home run derby, and I actually do think that the new home run derby format is very exciting. It's much better than the old one. But I do watch every minute of the All-Star game, home run derby and game.
There's nothing in soccer that you can equate to the home run derby, though.
No, you can't.
There's nothing.
So
put it on the 18.
So free kicks. I think you could do. I think you could do some free. I think you could do some free competitions. Have you guys seen NBA? So I would rather be more like the NBA All-Star Weekend. Have you with the slam dunk contest? You got the 3-point shot.
Pick a spot. We could do that.
It's the same thing. I think I mentioned this in the comments. Is hockey. Like hockey has a skill challenge too, with some agility training and stuff like that. But realistically, like you pick your All-Stars, and this kind of goes into another comment that I made after the fact to James, where mostly All-Star games are voted for by the fans. And we made a comment about, what do you mean Ronaldo? He doesn't even play. He wouldn't be on. 100% would be voted on to the All-Star team. There's no way. He's probably going to be the #1 voted player.
That's fair.
Into this All-Star team.
He is Yao Ming of
yeah, granted, he would be good in the free kick competition, but realistically, is it free kick or is it going to be hit the corner targets or whatever? Like that's okay to watch, but it's slow and boring.
Do you guys remember Goalie Wars from MLS All-Star games?
Yeah.
I do.
They put the nets like 30 yards apart from each other and said, score as much as you can to the goalies.
I think it was closer than that.
They were just trying to throw it.
Throw it, kick it, however they could. It was epic.
Can't score a goal throwing the ball.
I don't think. And the problem is you isolate players, and so let's say you're putting in Virgil van Dijk in the All-Star team. He probably would make it, right? So are you going to put him in the free kick competition or the whatever competition he doesn't do those things. So maybe he could surprise you and do well, but like you're kind of like putting people into roles in the skills competition that's not their skill set. So how do you skill defending?
Yeah, like how it would be exciting to watch a defensive skill comp.
You have a headers contest.
I have an answer to that question, and I have something interesting to add. The answer to that question is if you take generally, and not just Virgil, just generally enter any center back and put them in a skills competition that requires agility and shooting, they would probably surprise every single EPL fan because they don't do it all the time. The first time that happened, you put Virgil through a little agility course with the ball at his feet, with a shot at the end, he's probably going to surprise literally every EPL fan.
Yeah. I think
because they're all that good. Yeah, because they're all that good. But when I was in the effort of surprising, there was a race a foot race, including Tyreek Hill in the NFL, that included a linebacker who is probably, trying not to exaggerate, 40 pounds heavier. And he was not far behind him. And that's impressive. That guy is so powerful that he can be right behind the fastest guy in the NFL. Yeah, and within inches.
I mean, most linemen in the NFL. This is what separates the NFL from college, right? Most linemen in the NFL run a 4.5.
They're 300 pounds. How do they do that? It's freakish. Anyway.
They're all. Professional athletes are freak athletes in all sports, right?
Especially at the highest levels.
It's fun to watch them compete with each other, which is why the skills competition is cool because it's outside the game limits. You do the same thing as this other person and try to do it.
Okay.
And they all enjoy it too. Like, can I curl this thing into the top corner? Can I put it in a dumpster can from 60 yards away?
Because they do that, right?
Okay, they do that. I do that. I do that in the office.
If we're gonna be degenerate with it, and this is the last thing we're gonna say, and then we're gonna move on. But if we're gonna be degenerate with it, it needs to be like that the golf tournament between Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods, where they were just where they were mic'd up and they're betting the whole time.
Yes, absolutely.
I want to see Virgil go up to KDB and be like 10,000. You can't hit that corner.
Oh yeah,
and just like drop and just drop.
Yes,
I want to see that.
I'm here for this.
Let's sponsor it by whoever sponsors Bournemouth, since they've just ruined everybody's first manager sack.
Oh, true.
Yeah, what was it? Was it Alphabet? Yeah, let's sponsor it by Alphabet.
So go for it, Jimmy.
The one interesting thing that I saw. So when I listened to the last pod, I wasn't 2 hours later, maybe, that I got the NFL news about the Pro Bowl, which is completely pointless. Not even the All-Stars go to that game because they're still in the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
that is no longer a thing, which is great, and to be replaced by a skills competition and flag football, which does make sense.
Well, I think haven't they been doing some amount of skills competition at the Pro Bowl?
Yeah,
somewhat.
They do it sometimes.
It hasn't really been
last year that I saw.
ton.
Yeah, last year that I saw the foot race.
Yeah. Okay.
They've done a couple every now and then, but nothing that was like, this is what the All-Star game is about.
So I'll tell you what, I'm still not going to watch either one of them.
Yeah.
I'll watch the skills game. That skills game will be fun.
If it
I think one year they did play dodgeball. That was fun to watch. A bunch of wide receivers playing dodgeball.
They still do that. But to be fair, the linebacker I saw was Micah Parsons, and he's an alien.
A freak.
All right. Let's jump back into the Premier League. Let's kind of we are close. We are close to a quarter of the way through the season. Not quite there yet, but we're approaching it. And coming out of the fall international break seems like a good moment to kind of reset, kind of get our bearings, see how we feel. Now, of course, Jimmy, since you're joining us this week, you sacrificed some time with the family to be with us. How do you feel about Liverpool thus far? How's the season been? What are your emotions? What are you hoping to see in the second half or the third, the final?
Well, sadly, I think from the Liverpool perspective, the tragic death of the Queen was kind of a blessing for Liverpool. Okay. We've gotten a couple additional weeks off. Now we had a Champions League game in the middle of that, which we played okay.
Yeah.
Like we controlled a game, but it went kind of down to the wire, and we just kind of snuck one out right at the end for a 2-1 victory. But I mean, we've had injury issues, which is, everybody has injury problems, right? I mean, all clubs deal with that.
Yeah.
I think most of the sentiment from the Liverpool club is that we still haven't replaced Gini Wijnaldum as a midfielder. We have a lot of youth like in the midfield coming up, but some of them, Curtis Jones, is injured, like kind of always right now. And I don't know what's wrong with that. So the question is, do we have a physio issue? That's one of my always complaints, yes, right?
Well,
you do.
You hired Arsenal's guy a couple, like 5 or 6 years ago, and Arsenal were perpetually injured. He left, went to go to Liverpool, and then Liverpool was perpetually injured. So I think I
was not thrilled with that acquisition.
Yes.
If you've listened, I've said the same sentiment where Klopp's complaining about injuries for the third straight year. If it's injuries for the third straight year, you have a systematic problem.
I'm pushing back on this Klopp is complaining thing.
He complains about everything. So I'm just gonna. Yes, he does.
No, he doesn't.
He's like a genuinely nice person. He does not really complain. Sure, you make it sound like he complains, like constantly whining. He's like barely mentions it.
I'm sure he tips 30%. All right. I'm sure he's a great guy. He complains about everything.
I think your problem is you read the headlines and you don't watch the interviews. I think if
I
listen
to the words out of his own mouth.
Yes, but do you listen to it in context, surrounded by the other things that are around it, and hear the whole breadth of his comment? Because I don't think you do. Because
does a post-game interview count?
Yes, if you watch it in totality.
So I have to watch it from front to start to listen from question to answer.
Yes. Because there's context.
Why?
Because there's context.
Why? I just want the sound bites.
There is a question, and then there is an answer.
Sean, have you ever read a paragraph and read something and thought it meant something?
Did somebody question something?
And then you read the whole chapter, and you're like, oh, I was missing some key context when I read that paragraph.
That would require the ability to read.
Did you ever like a weird argument about match fixture congestion last week, where you complain about like everybody's a bunch of babies about their fixture congestion, and now you're in Europe and you got to deal with the problem? Kind of hypocritical.
Man, Jimmy's coming with receipts this week.
Jimmy bringing the heat.
That was like a 5-minute segment last week.
All I said is I said at the beginning of the season that Tottenham needed to be ready for this week, for these coming up weeks. So I said that we need to have depth because we're going to have to rotate. I didn't complain about it. I said we need people.
You know who did?
We need bodies.
Do you know who did complain about it? Interestingly enough,
Brad
Klopp.
Your boy Antonio Conte.
He did.
Last year gave everybody a hard time about complaining about things, and then a couple weeks ago he complained about fixture congestion and the club not doing enough to protect them. But we're not here to talk about.
Who didn't complain about it? Jurgen Klopp.
Speaking of Jurgen Klopp,
he did.
Finish up, Jimmy. Let us know how you feel.
So we all know Mo is
what's up with
got
that?
An issue.
What is going on?
So he's not performing to his typical standard.
Is our problem that our belief of what he should be doing is sky high, and we're expecting too much of him at this point, or is it just he's having a bad spell? He's in a blue patch?
I think he's just having a slow start. There's still, I mean, he's still scored goals. It's not like he hasn't scored any. Like, I mean, I know, Sean talked about like Son kind of being like wasn't much of anything, and then all of a sudden he's now scoring goals left and right. Like, Mo's gotten a few here and there, and he's gotten some assists. He's contributing to the team. It's just he's like losing the ball more often, and I don't know if he's being defended more, but to me it seems like he's trying to do too much individually and not include his team. Some of that, I feel, comes back to the tactics that Liverpool use with regards to how they put their players on the field. Okay. Like specifically my boy, who I've talked highly about, Harvey Elliott. I think Harvey Elliott is the absolute future of Liverpool. I love the guy. However, he plays right next to Salah basically all the time. He sits in this midfield position on the right side of the field and never leaves it. And there's tactical problems in our midfield, and the problems when we especially against Manchester United, you'll see like pictures of like the midfield with no Liverpool players in it. Yeah. And mostly because like it was Harvey Elliott, James Milner, and maybe Fabinho at the time. And Fabinho you'll see kind of back covering like he's supposed to. You've got Harvey Elliott off to his one side, just supporting Mo and Trent. And again, he doesn't need to be over there. Trent owns that space. Yeah. We need to transition him and be more of a 10. And then James Milner is just a wild card. He is going to run everywhere. He's going to run everywhere and just try to hit people.
Are they doing? They're adopting the Max Allegri Juventus circle strat.
Yeah, essentially. So when we do well, and when Thiago's in there, even when Henderson's in there, and we have like a real like kind of triangle of midfield in the middle of the field that can be fluid, we do a little better. Now I think Harvey's like 20. Yeah. So he's going to learn that. Yeah. Like that's one of the things that we talk about. Everybody in Liverpool talks about Jude Bellingham potentially next year, right? And I'm Dortmund fan.
Yep.
Right. So I've watched Jude for a long time, since he was 17 or 16. And I think highly of Jude. Do I think he's the Liverpool savior? No, I don't think he is. He's a good player, but it's not like you're bringing in a Messi.
Yeah.
Like it's going to completely change your club. He's a young player. He's got a lot of potential and a lot of talent, but he does also make a lot of mistakes, and he also gets tired. It's one of the things that people don't really see in some of the Dortmund games. Like towards the end, he is gassed and gets out of position. But again, youth and more experience will come with that. But he is more of a box-to-box midfielder, unlike Harvey Elliott. So there's
and it's going to
those
take
two together can be really good.
And it's going to take $100 million to get him out of Dortmund. That's
like
that
140.
you have to weigh that out too. Like if he was 50, you'd probably feel better about that. But like where he's
I'm
kind of
of the opinion that nobody's worth that much money.
It's closer to 80 depending on structure, apparently.
So I feel like for 180 million for one player, we could get 5 players.
80 million. No, not
80
million.
million.
I think 80 million.
Well,
but it's going to be more structure.
So at 80, probably fine. But what I'm hearing from the Dortmund side is they're looking for 140.
That's what I've heard as well.
Yeah. So for 140, you can get 3 or 4 players,
high quality,
probably between the ages of 21 and 28 that are maybe kind of proven.
Yeah.
That can completely retool your team. Now, I mean, Liverpool again, we've got rid of a little bit of midfield depth, but not midfield depth that was really playing. But we got rid of Minamino, Origi, Shaqiri last year, which was some of our midfield depth. And Origi and Minamino don't hurt us as much because we brought in Nunez. We had Diaz already to replace. Jota's been injured, which has been a problem because he's kind of like the guy. He's the guy you bring in that just surprisingly does everything.
He should be your 10, honestly. Like he's the mix it up guy.
I agree with that.
Ooh, I think you're
I
wrong.
don't think he's the 10.
Oh, come on
he's
now.
Not the 10. Firmino is the 10.
Yeah.
100% Firmino should be dropped back deeper, and you should play all 3 of them. You put Nunez up front. You put Jota on. So you probably put still put Diaz over there. You probably put Salah, Nunez, and Jota could flip around, whatever. And you drop Firmino back in the midfield.
Then you got 2 10s.
No, if you have Nunez, you have a legit 9, and then you've got basically 2 7s on each side.
All right,
right?
So we've got the classic, James. We've got the classic 4-4-3 going on right now.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. So speaking of the,
he's got too many players on the field.
No, I don't have too many players. You don't play Henderson.
I want to expand this conversation a little bit beyond just Liverpool. And specifically, still kind of angled towards you, Jimmy. What have your thoughts globally been so far about the Premier League? Any kind of major shocks, things that have surprised you? Now, as a Borussia Dortmund fan, you've seen Erling Haaland in Germany,
bastard. Yeah.
And now he's in the sky blue of City.
So him going to City made sense.
Yep.
Kind of childhood fan. I can't fault him for that. I mean, that's if I was given that opportunity, I'd take it too. So I am happy he's doing well. I don't like that he's doing well, but I'm happy for him. It's no different than what I watched at Dortmund. He came into the Bundesliga and did the exact same thing. So it's a little infuriating, but he hasn't done it yet to Liverpool, right? So he played garbage in the Community Shield against Liverpool, which is great, but I don't expect that to happen again. Surprising teams, Fulham. Yeah. I mean, Fulham's been like I was with a lot of you guys. I had Fulham probably being relegated.
A lot being those 2.
Yeah,
we've already discussed that I'm stupid. So
Brighton is still kind of surprised. I do not know if they will continue to do as well now that Graham Potter's gone.
Do we think that they're going to fall off a cliff?
I don't think they'll fall off a cliff. I think they still finish mid-table at this point.
I think they got good players.
But how?
Yeah, my boy Lallana is going to carry that team.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Southampton legend.
They've had some important departures this year. And so I wonder how much of their position was inflated by Graham Potter's man management and his ability to get the best out of players, and how much of it was actually them just being good players. So I actually worry that I don't think they're going to get relegated. They've already picked up 13 points in the first 6 matches. So that's a very, very, very good foundation. It would probably be the most number of points. If they, I don't think they're going to get relegated, but if they were to get relegated, it would probably be some sort of Premier League record or something like that. But
most points through 6 games to still get relegated.
Yeah, it would probably be wild. But and I don't think it's going to happen. But I wonder that kind of passively.
They have a strong core still, so I think mid-table is probably a proper finish.
I think West Ham and Leicester are probably the 2 most surprising.
I can't disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean West Ham. I can't remember where I had them, but I'm pretty sure I had them in Europe. And I think Antonio is a pretty good striker.
He seems he seems like he's the right level for West Ham.
Yeah, and I think he's good. I mean, Declan Rice is still good. I mean,
I would take Antonio as an off the bench striker, like a coming in the 75th and like let's make something happen. I would take him on Spurs. Antonio's a good striker, like a make something happen striker.
He'd be your replacement for Lucas Moura.
Yeah, like a make something happen guy. Yeah, no, like I don't think James was making a joke there. Yeah, like a make something happen guy.
That's kind of how Lucas Moura has been used over the last 2 years for Spurs. I feel like. So
exactly.
I mean, Bowen isn't playing well, and I think Scamacca is better than Anthony. Anyways, I think their business this year was really well.
Antonio
was really done.
I mean, but they've also got Luis Paqueta as well, who came in, who's going to be good for them once he gets up and running in the league.
He'll get, yeah.
Paqueta.
No, none of us think that West Ham will get relegated, right?
No.
Is there a chance for Leicester to get relegated?
Do you think Leicester can get relegated?
I think so.
I think they'll snap out of it. I think they'll snap out of it. They've got. I don't know if they've got something going on behind the scenes we don't know about, or they're just out of form, or just need a kick in the butt. I don't know.
Brendan Rodgers is blaringly obvious that there's problems backstage. Like he was mad that he didn't get anybody.
He didn't get any money.
Well, I mean, but I think it's been well established why, and their owner made a pretty clear statement as to why. But I think
they ran out of goals. Like Vardy has dried up finally.
But they have players
Iheanacho hasn't.
I don't know. They've got Iheanacho. They've got Madison. There's goals.
Iheanacho hasn't scored. Madison is their best player this year.
There are goals in that team, is what I'm saying. I think what's happened is they're a little shell shocked, and so I think you saw this very much so against Spurs, where they're fighting, give up a cheap goal.
I said it,
and then Son comes on, scores one, and then they just fell apart. When they went down, I think they just crumbled. And I think that comes from the manager not having a lot of faith right now, not necessarily in the players, but just like in himself, maybe. I think Brendan Rodgers he's a sitting duck in my opinion. Like I don't think he can motivate these players the way that they need to at this point. And so that's why I'm shocked over the last. They all know
he's leaving.
Yeah, I'm shocked over the last 10 days they didn't sack him but I think that also comes back from the fact that like they don't have any money to pay him a severance package, apparently, is what I read. So I don't.
Well, he's still a good manager. I mean,
I agree.
He's not a relegation. He's not a relegation manager.
I agree with you, but like if he's feeling, I don't know, like down on himself, like if he's not trusting himself and his abilities, and like I could see his mental status like impacting more than just himself. You know.
Like, it could be. I mean, it could be a whole demeanor thing. He could just be down and out on the club, and it's projecting onto the team.
Yeah. So
and their goalie before he started a random game in May for the Premier League, hadn't played since 2016 in goal for a Premier League match.
Yeah, that was also surprising.
Danny Ward, I think losing Schmeichel was the biggest thing, right? Like
probably
you can replace Fofana. Especially with the money that they got for Fofana. But losing Schmeichel, I think, is huge.
I mean, he's
huge.
He's your club captain.
Brad says losing Fofana, you can replace him as if they didn't buy him like with 1 day to spare on the transfer deadline.
That's true.
Like you're gonna find somebody with that money on the in the 36 hours you gave Leicester.
I mean, they played the game. We played the game just as well as they did for negotiating. Like,
yeah,
what happened?
That's as much on Leicester as it is on Chelsea. Like, it's not Chelsea's fault that Leicester waited until 36 hours before the window closed to accept the bid.
They thought £5 million. They thought £5 million was worth the extra 3 days wait, and maybe it was.
Here's the question: out of the three now, do you think any of those three, 18, 19, 20? Or any of those relegated?
Forest.
No.
It depends.
I'm on the Forest train.
It's better in January.
I'm on the Forest train. I want it on the record right now. I'm on the Forest train. We're getting out of here.
They've signed too many players.
The fighting Lingards. The fighting Lingards, bro.
I think James has a little bit of a point though. I think they signed too many players, and that team just doesn't have chemistry yet. That's why they're playing so poorly.
Well, it was especially a shocker. Yeah, it was a shocker that they got in to the Premier League because everybody there was on loan last year.
Yeah, they were, but I think it's again really it's not week 10 yet.
Yeah.
But they have a bunch of time, and they've got the whole the World Cup break and resting, and like not all of those players are going off to play international.
Serge Aurier ain't playing for France. I can tell you that.
Almost none of them.
So that's a lot of time. They can still build camaraderie, train.
That's true.
Whatever, and I think they're going to have a much better second half. I think the teams that are not going to do well in the second half are probably the teams we kind of expected.
This ain't even the second half.
May not do as well.
Yeah.
Bournemouth may not do as well. Leeds is a wild card, even though Leeds has been pretty good. But I think Leeds is they don't have the depth.
The Fighting Americans,
to go
man.
that hard for 38 games.
That's true.
I think Leeds will trail off towards the second half of the season because they're fatigued. Now the World Cup does again help them get a little bit of a break, but we'll see.
I mean, especially because like these guys aren't used to playing every 3 days. Like the bigger clubs are used to playing every 3 days, every single week throughout the year. Like as the season goes on, I think you're going to see those like mid-tier and lower tier teams that aren't very deep fall because they're just too tired to play.
Yeah. Let's quickly turn our attention to the international break. Quickly touch on this before. I wish we had more time to talk about this because I think we could have a pretty robust conversation about England and Gareth Southgate and all of the kind of missteps it seems like he's taken in this international break.
Can I summarize them real quick and then we can move to the USA?
Sure. Go for it, Brad.
Harry Maguire.
Oscar the Grouch. He's in a trash can.
Yeah.
Like Harry Maguire, like it was like the amount of people, like the people that started should not have started. There's no reason for Sterling or Kane or Harry Maguire to play at all during this during these 2 games.
I'll push back on the Harry Maguire thing on one point. So Harry Maguire's not playing a lot for United. His form for United has been pretty abysmal. If Gareth Southgate was trying to give him a little bit of a confidence boost going into the World Cup, he traditionally plays well in a back five. That's what Southgate likes to do. Harry Maguire has traditionally been very good for England. So perhaps Southgate was like, I'm going to give my national team captain a boost going into the World Cup. But that backfired spectacularly. I don't
know what you call up players like Tony, Tammy Abraham, Guehi, Tomori, Cody, that all should have had minutes so you could see what they were like. Like
Cody should have had minutes.
Definitely.
And didn't play any of them.
Tomori. Like Tomori 100% deserves minutes for the defense he's played on AC Milan.
Absolutely.
100%.
Which is like, it's wild to me that he didn't, like the fact that he called up 28 players, left Rashford at home, left Ben White at home, and then players that you would have expected him to see play in some of these, like he played Nick Pope twice instead of splitting the time, giving a game to Aaron Ramsdale and one to Nick Pope. Like that didn't make any sense. And then playing Harry Maguire for 180 minutes or whatever the hell it was. Like it just,
I don't think he's in it. I think he's checked out. I think he's over all of the but imagine in his role, right? Where every single decision you've made,
certainly
the public is yelling at you. Because like, if you look at England's team, this team should be a favorite for the World Cup.
The single most difficult managerial job in all of world football is the English men's national team manager. I will 100% believe that till the day I die. Second might be Real Madrid.
Why not lean into it? Why not just be like, you know what? I'm gonna get criticized no matter what, so I might as well do what I want to do. That's what he did.
I think he's done a really good job of navigating that. Like Gareth Southgate has not seemed to have been swayed very much by public sentiment or pressure over the last 6 or 8 years.
He's just picking it. He's just picking his homies instead of what looks good,
which is going to be his downfall this year specifically. Because this England team, I think that they are like they have of all of the breadth of players that they have the ability to like do something I think kind of special. But if they rely on the likes of Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw, Jordan Henderson, I think that's good. I think that's a recipe for disaster for them.
Yeah, because like if you look at this English team, like every position is solid except goalie.
I said that in the group chat. If you put it on paper,
left back, sure. If Chilwell's not healthy enough to play.
If you put it on paper, this is the best English team I think I've ever seen put together.
I don't know, man. I think
have an opinion.
I think the late '90s or the late '90s team or early 2000s teams were really good.
Yeah,
that was the younger Lampard, Gerrard, Michael Owen days. The end of the Beckham kind of tenure, and I mean, Scholes, Giggs,
Neville,
Rio Ferdinand, Neville, the Nevilles. I mean, there's a lot of talent on those English teams.
Yeah.
Guys, we regard as legends now.
How
True.
So the four of us are Americans. How do we feel about the old USA?
They were right next to Gareth Southgate. They were all in that trash can.
Yeah.
We got Tomiyasu.
Let's hope we can get a point.
I
think we still make it out of the group. I think we finish second. I'm not going to say that we're going to beat England anymore, like I was earlier.
I don't think we beat England. Was it Scotland or whatever? Wales. That's right. Wales won.
I think
I
we
don't
do.
Beat Wales either.
I think we still honestly, make it out of the group, but I'm not as excited.
I'm not convinced right now we'll beat Iran, and we lost to them the last time we played them in the World Cup.
I definitely don't disagree with what Jimmy's saying right now.
I got 7 points counted on the dot, boy. Y'all kidding me?
Sean, I hope you're right.
Yeah,
I really hope you're right.
7 points.
And you can call me out and say, Jimmy, you were wrong. I think we're on 1 point.
Where's the sheets?
No, we're not doing the sheets yet, but you can make it. You can make the mark that Jimmy thinks he's getting 1 point. Well, we can put Jimmy on the sheets, but the rest of us, I think we're waiting a little bit longer.
Right now, that's how down. Right now, after looking at I didn't watch the games. I've watched highlights. I've talked to people about them. We look terrible.
I thought someone who had a similar sports ilk as me would have known that when the spotlights are on, you see those floodlights up there, and you know the pressure's on, you play different.
Yes, the World Cup is different.
More singularly focused.
So does everybody else.
So does everybody else.
It's going to be different. They might build up for it,
but when you, so you just proved my point. So does everyone else. So when we have more talent than everyone, not everyone. Hold on, let me retract that. When we have more talent than everyone but England in our group, when everybody plays their best, we will absolutely three
we should.
We'll absolutely
have more talent than Iran. Having more talent than Wales could be debatable.
It's just one player, and I know him well.
Whoa.
Just tackle him.
Whoa. Did you just disrespect Aaron Ramsey?
Aaron Ramsey. I don't know if Joe Allen still plays for them anymore. Great player for Wales.
Ben Davies is going to have a long day, too.
Ben Davies is a good player.
You weren't even talking about Gareth Bale.
I was talking about Gareth Bale. It's just one of them. I know. It's just one of them. Just slide tackle him.
I'm making the
get him out.
With Gareth Bale, you need to bring his golf clubs and he'll stop playing.
Just set him on the side of the pitch.
Yeah, they'll be calling to him, like a picture of Madrid, like his favorite golf course in Madrid, in his golf clubs. He'll be longing for it.
Oh man, Sean, I hope you're right, buddy.
Yeah,
I really hope you're right.
I hope you're right too, Sean.
Me too.
I have it on a sheet.
On a sheet, on a note
card. It may not be of integrity, but it is on a sheet.
We have our first game on what Black Friday this year. This year.
Yes,
I think that's our second game.
Is it our second game?
I think it's our second game. Yeah. So, all right, that's it. That's what we got right now. If you are first time listening and it's first time you stumble across, thanks for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, leave us a comment, let us know what you're thinking. And check back later this week because we will have more. We have another episode coming out later this week. So if you want to hit us up on Twitter, you can find all of us. I'm quickly stalling to grab your Twitter handle, Jimmy.
Don't worry about it.
I know I'm plugging you. You're gonna get.
If you want to get a hold of me, go to the Red Card Radio Discord, which you can find the link for in the comments.
Boom.
Ooh.
Yo, I'm gonna quit.
That's it.
You guys can do the next one without me. You don't need me. That's at Chaos Brad G. at Whiteheart_Sean. I'm at James Tiffany. We collectively are at Redcard_radio, and he is at Jimmy in the Discord. At Jimmy in the Discord. Thanks, guys. Good night. Have a good one.